In today's lesson, I will give you more vocabulary, phrases, and sentence structures to help you describe your daily routine and talk about habits. In the next video, which will be the second one in this series, I will show you an example conversation, and then I will give you a quiz to test your understanding. So let's jump right into it. When we were talking about our daily routines last week, we talked about waking up. So I want to add some more vocabulary here so you can accurately tell someone what time you wake up. You can say, I am an early bird, so I usually wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't wake up early. I wake up at 7:30. You can also say, I am not a morning person, so I always wake up late. Or you can say, I often wake up late. When we talked about going to work or school, I said you could say, I go to university, but you could also say, I attend university. Another phrase we didn't have time to talk about was, I study at university. This doesn't mean you are actually studying right now. It just means that you are a student at the university. Another thing you might do before going to work or school is eat breakfast. So another vocabulary you can use to talk about this is, I usually have breakfast before I go to work or school, or I normally eat breakfast. Let me give you some examples of this. I normally eat breakfast at 7 o'clock. Usually have eggs, bacon, and fruit for breakfast. I don't usually eat cereal because it makes me feel sick. These are all ways you can talk about your eating habits. If you are like me and you drink coffee in the morning, you can say, I love drinking coffee. I have a cup of coffee every morning before I start working. If you don't drink coffee, you can say, I don't really like coffee, but I like drinking tea in the morning. If you get ready for work or school, you need to get to work or school. So another vocabulary you can use is to get to work or school. So you can say, how do you get to work? How do you get to school? There are many different ways to get to work or school. I drive to work, I take the train to work. You can also say I commute to work. What does this mean? This means the way you get to work. It is usually by car, by train, or by bus. So you can say, what's your commute like? Do you enjoy commuting? So let's talk about how to get to work or school in more detail. The most common way to get to work or school is by car. So you can say, I drive to work, I drive to school. Of course, you need to have a car. Not everyone has a car. So another very common way to get to work or school is by public transportation. So this is when you take the bus or the train. In England, you can say the tube. In America, I think you say the subway. So yeah, you can say, I take the bus to work. I take the train to work. Another option is you can walk to work or to school. For example, I live really close to my workplace, so I walk to work. I walk to school, and of course you can also ride your bike. So I cycle to work or school. I think cycling is really good exercise. At work, there are many different things you might do. You might read emails, so you can say, I check my emails. When you check your emails, you open them, and you read what is inside. Another thing you might do at work is send emails. So when you finish reading your emails, you might answer them or write new ones. So you can say, I send emails during my workday. Another thing you might do at work is have a meeting. So you can say, I have a meeting today at 2 o'clock. I have a meeting tomorrow morning. Another thing you might do is make phone calls. So you can say, I spend a lot of time making phone calls. Another thing you can do is type reports. So you can say, I spend a lot of time typing reports. I hate typing reports. Sometimes you have to work outside. So you can say, I have to work outside today. Or you can say, I am working outside today. And of course, when you finish work, you can say, I finish work at 5 o'clock. I finish school at 4 o'clock. So remember to finish work or school, and to finish work or school at 5 o'clock. For lunch, I gave you the vocabulary last week of to go out to eat. Now I'm going to give you some other options. You can say, I go to the restaurant for lunch. I go to the cafe for lunch. So these are places where you can eat lunch. Of course, you can also say, I stay at home for lunch. I bring my lunch from home. I eat leftovers for lunch. Or finally, you can say, I have lunch with my friends. So this means you go to the restaurant with your friends and you eat together. After work, you can go straight home, or you can stop at the supermarket on the way home. So you can say, on my way home, I stop at the supermarket and buy food for dinner. After you get home, you can relax. So you can say, I relax after work. I go home and relax, sit on the sofa and watch TV. Another very important thing to know is to talk about how often you do something. So for example, I said last week, I usually walk my dog in the morning. I often go to the gym at lunchtime. I sometimes eat fast food. I rarely go out at night. I hardly ever get up early. This is a list of how to describe how often you do something. Okay, so here is a summary of everything we talked about today. I hope this helps you to talk about your daily routine and habits in English. If you want to see the next video where I will give you an example conversation and a quiz, click the link below. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time. Bye.